Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Gassy Jack Gear Reviews. Thanks for tuning back in. Today, what we have here is a State of the Watch collection. I don't know about you, I always find State of Watch collections sort of interesting to see the total sort of collection that people have. You can sort of see some motivation for some watches, some trends within their collection. And I haven't done one of these videos in a long time, so my collection looks drastically different. I'm going to try to go through some of the differences in some of the watches that I have today versus what I've had in the past. You can always go back and watch that video review, but I'm going to try to capture some of it here. So what I do want to go over, I'm going to go over first what I still have in the collection. I think that's probably easiest to do. This watch right here, I'm reaching around from behind the camera, so I hope I don't shake it up at all. But this watch here, this is my Swiss Army knife quartz watch. I'm 47 as of like 2 days ago, and this watch, actually 3 days ago, this watch I got, I think, when I was around 20 or 21 years old. My brother got this for me, so it has a lot of sentimental value. But I do really still love the way it looks. I'm a sucker for white dial watches, even though this is, my only white dial watch that I currently have. When I started getting into watch collecting, this was sort of what I had in mind of what I wanted to replace, because I had busted the strap so many times, the bracelet, the end link. It's a hollow end link on this, and the one side was just unrepairable. It had been damaged so many times. So I ended up putting on a leather, but I wanted another watch with a larger white face. This one here, I mean, you can see it against my thumb. It's not a huge watch, but I remember when I first got this, I went to work and I had this on, and someone noticed it and they said, "Oh, I really like that watch. Oh, it's nice and big." So you can really tell the trend within watches these days. I mean, they've grown in size quite a bit in the last 25 years. But I still really do like this. I did end up getting, it was a Momentum watch. The company's called Momentum, and that didn't come out like Momentum at all. The watch company's called Momentum out of Vancouver. I think the parent company is actually called St. Moritz, but the watch company is called Momentum, and they make mostly analog quartz watches, and of good quality. And I bought one of those, and I ended up giving it to a friend. I might actually repurchase it because I really do like it. It's a great grab and go watch. But that's why I got that watch, because I wanted something that was kind of similar to this, but a little larger. And it's the Momentum Torpedo, and I have a review on that. And I really do like that watch. I fully stand behind that watch if anyone's thinking about it. So onward, what do we have here that's been in the collection for a long time? Well, they're not in there because I've run out of space, but I do have my daily wear, which gets all the love around the house, is the F91W by Casio. I don't really have to say much about this watch. It's the most prolific watch in history, I believe. They're around $15 US. I think in Canada, they're a little more expensive, around $25 Canadian, but still 10-year battery life. This is my second one. The first one, I don't know how many years I had it for, but the strap actually cracked. And I tried maybe what I shouldn't have done is put a lighter to it and kind of sandwich it together a little bit to melt it and sandwich it. And I thought, for $25, I'm just going to get another one. So that's what I did. And this wears on the wrist so light. I don't care whether it gets beat up, scratched. It seems to have pretty good water resistance because this has been everywhere. And I've not really cared about it. So it says, what does it say? I think they say like 50 meters or 30 meters. Let me just take it off and see. But you can absolutely go swimming with this thing, no problem. Okay, what does it say here? Says Casio, and then in the boxer it says 593 F91W, stainless steel back, water resistant, made in Thailand. And then it says ED at the bottom. So it doesn't say the water resistance here. I'm guessing that it's probably either 30 or 50. Usually you have to go 50 to be confident to go like light swimming. You can do that with this. I wear this in the shower all the time. It's not a problem whatsoever. It's been in lakes. And I also have two other watches. And these are from they're exact same dimensions as the F91W. They have a shiny plastic case with a stainless steel bracelet. And these have a great, it's that kind of standard, just clip it in. So I'm doing this behind the camera, trying to look through here. Clip it in there, hook it in, and snap it. And that's all. It was on my wrist, so it didn't really work that time. But yeah, so this is the black version with sort of blue around the perimeter. I don't know if you can see that. And this, I think they call this the camel color. And I've talked about these before. I said I got that camel color because it reminded me of something my grandfather on my mom's side might wear. But I doubt maybe he might have worn those. For some reason, that color just reminds me of something he would have worn in like the late 70s or something, like early 80s. I don't know whether he did. For some reason, it just reminded me of him, and that's really the reason I bought it. But anyway, moving along here. What else do I have that's been in the collection for a long time? Well, the G-Shock. The G-Shock, the 5610. This has been in the collection for a while now, and this is my watch that I tend to go if I go camping or canoeing or any sort of rugged outdoor where I'm really going to knock my watch around. This tends to come with me because it's the toughest watch I think I have. These are unbelievably tough. They're priced really, really good for what you're getting. I think this one runs, I don't know, I think it's around $150 or so. And it's fantastic value. This one I would recommend all day long. There's a couple other G-Shocks that I do like. I like the Rangeman series as well, but they're a little bulky. If I'm going to go bulky, I'm going to go all out and get that new GPS Rangeman. I think that one is a very, very useful watch. It's solar. This is solar as well. So this, you can see that solar ring around the inside. This also receives, if you want to watch my full review on this receives a signal every day. If it's not locked in the closet like this one was last night, you would see a little received symbol. It would say RCD, I think, and it will say the time. Mine tends to get the signal at 12:04 a.m. And if I keep this even in the windowsill, it will receive it every single day. It's great for that. So you're getting an up-to-date atomic clock setting every day, which is fantastic. So you're getting microseconds, everyday accuracy. It has a stopwatch, it has a timer, has I think several alarms. This, if you just want to watch to beat the absolute hell out of, and it's going to do the job, and it's not going to let you down under really any sort of condition that you would survive, this is a great watch to get. So let's move along here and let's look at watches that I've had for a while. Well, this was absolutely one of it was my first luxury watch for sure. The Submariner. And I don't like calling it the no date. The Submariner date has a date. The Submariner does not have a date. If you just say Submariner, you should be assuming it doesn't have a date. This is a hit and miss with Rolex fans because some people really don't like the maxi case. So the maxi case, I always forget, maxi case or maxi dial. Anyway, the dial has some differences as well. The dial, the indices, I believe, are a little larger than the previous ones. And then you have these wider lugs. So if you look at the 2021, this is a 2018. So if you look at the 2021, it's a slightly bigger case. This is a 40 millimeter. I think the new one is a 41. I think the bracelet is slightly larger. I want to say that the bracelet might be a 21 millimeter, where this is a 20, tapers down quite significantly, which I really, really like. 21 I don't like because I don't like these oddball. I don't like 19 millimeters. I don't like 21 millimeters because they're more difficult to get straps for if you want to go leather. And yeah, you can squish them in a bit, but you know what? If you're a nitpicker, it'll bother you. So I do like the standards like 18, 20, 22, 24. I like that. And obviously this is my preference as far as the case style. I like those chunky lugs sticking out. I know some people don't. And if you love traditional vintage Rolexes, this probably doesn't appeal to you nearly as much, but it does to me. And I don't buy vintage watches. And I don't know, I haven't really analyzed why. I don't know if it's because I just like buying new or whether I'm just afraid of it having problems. I don't know. I might consider a vintage Omega. I'm not sure. So this has been in the collection for a little while. And this one, I think I can safely say that if I was only going to keep one watch, it probably would be this watch. I'm not kidding you. A lot of people, and I know you're going to say, oh, you're a Rolex fanboy. But I'll say this. I got rid of a Rolex Datejust 41, and I did get rid of my Rolex Explorer 1. And I really, really, really like both those watches. The reason I got rid of them is that they don't have this clasp. They don't have the ratcheting clasp. This ratcheting clasp, and any ratcheting clasp, but you can kind of get a micro adjustment. You can see that in the rear. I think those are 2 millimeters each. A micro adjustment on the fly. I need that. I have these like kind of skinnier wrists. What I mean by skinny, I mean, well, they aren't that wide. They're 6 3/4, 6 7/8. But they don't have any fat on them right around that wrist. And I have that knobby point right there. Sorry, right there. And I wear my watches behind that knobby point. So if I can't get a very, very accurate fit, and it changes throughout the day when your wrist swells. And so I do need something that is very easily adjusted on the fly and without tools. And the other ones don't have that. They have what they call, I think it's like I don't know the term they give you, like quick set or whatever the term Rolex gives to it, but it's a 5 millimeter change. And 5 millimeter goes from tight to extremely loose. And that doesn't work for me. If Rolex changed their clasps on all their sports models to include a quick adjustment on the fly, no tools, for 2 millimeter increments, I'd be back on those watches. I guarantee you. I think those are two of the greatest watches that have ever been made for everyday use. I mean, there's not really an occasion that those two watches can't perform well in. Whereas the Submariner, I know people wear the Submariner with suits. I would never do that. It just, I don't know, to me, it looks kind of, I don't know why I say tacky, but it doesn't fit in. It's a suit. I know people give you a pass because it's a Rolex, but I wouldn't. Anyway, not that I would call you out, but the next one I'm going to go to over here is the Omega Speedmaster. I currently have it. This is the professional Hesselite crystal, acrylic, plastic, whatever you want to call it. They call it Hesselite. I have it on a really nice, I love this strap, a really nice strap. And this is from Maze Straps, Maze Berlin. And Maze Berlin makes some of the nicest straps that I've ever seen. They are pricey, really pricey. Like, oh God, it hurt to buy that one. But they are just phenomenal. I mean, the texture this thing has to it, it's great. It's thick leather. It feels fantastic. It looks fantastic. It does a great job. So why do I have it on leather and not the bracelet, you ask? Well, guess why? I couldn't get a perfect fit. In Omega, the Speedmaster only has 2 adjustments on their clasp, and you have to have a pin, and if you're in a pinch, you get a pin and start messing around with it during the day. But I hate when my watches fall downward, because then they hit that nub, and it's noticeable throughout the day. It's like clanging on the nub, and it's almost like to the point where you almost feel like, if you went for a run, you'd have a blister on that nub by the time you got back. So it is annoying, but I have heard that you can purchase the Seamaster adjustable clasp from an Omega dealer. So we're in COVID lockdown right now. So when things open up, I'm going to look into that, see how much it is. I've looked on eBay and I think I'm going to have to spend around $300. I'm like, oh. Is it worth it? Probably. If I want to put the bracelet back on it at some point, it's worth it, because otherwise I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to put it back on the bracelet. So I'll probably will go for that. And once I do, I'll do a video on that. So I'm just going to put it back on this pad right now. Bear with me while I get to my next watch. And if you're sort of looking at the watches and saying, well, I don't think there's anything there from your last review, you would be right. There's nothing here that I used to have in my last State of the Watch collection. So let's talk about what I have gotten rid of. Well, I had an SKS that I modded out, and I got rid of that. Kind of regret it. But the reason I get rid of watches are for one main reason, and they're not getting the wrist time. If they're not getting the wrist time, I would rather someone else enjoy them, to be quite honest. And the SKX was not getting the wrist time. I had the Submariner not shortly after I got the SKX, but I modded it out, and then I started wearing the Submariner. I'm like, well, I'm not really getting a lot of play with this SKX. So I did sell it. I had a Turtle, the SRP 775, the yellow one. I modded that one out. It was a really nice watch. I forget who bought that watch from me, but whoever bought that got a really nice modded watch. It had a slightly tinted, yellow tinted, heavily domed sapphire glass that I put in it. Who's that from? Was it from DL Watches, maybe? Maybe, I forget. And then it had a ceramic bezel insert that was also in the insert was yellow as well. I mean, it was yellow numbers on it. It was black with yellow numbers, like the stock one, but not sapphire, ceramic. So it was nice and shiny. That was a good looking watch. That's a big watch, and it feels big on the wrist. And again, I couldn't get a perfect fit all the time because I didn't have on-the-fly micro adjustments. I could have got a bracelet from, say, Strap Code. I actually, on the SKX, I had a Strap Code bracelet with that quick ratcheting clasp, which I really like, from Strap Code, and that worked well. I didn't have it on the Turtle. And so that's one of the reasons I got rid of it. And you say, well, why don't you just get the Strap Code bracelet? Well, because, again, this watch here was sort of dominating my wrist for sort of diver watch needs. And I say diver watch needs. I don't dive. I barely swim. I'm very likely to drown within my lifetime. So it's just, I like the way they look. I love the way they look, and I love watches that have good water resistance. That's one of my gripes with other watches, and you'll hear me say that, I wish this had at least 100 or at least whatever. So my divers really took a backseat to the Submariner, and again, I do really like Rolex. You could call me a Rolex fanboy. I don't know. Rolex and Seiko, like many people, are near the top of their list. And it's no exception for me. I got rid of also a Sumo, the blue one. They often call the Blue Mo. And I did some modding on that. Again, I put a sapphire crystal and ceramic bezel insert. And really liked that watch, but again, wasn't getting the play. But I say that, and that's one of the watches that I would maybe rebuy. I don't know. We'll see. But going on to the new watches, I'm going to start over here because we're on to the topic about Seiko. Now, I had the Turtle. You heard me say that it was the SRP 775, which was the yellow bezel insert. Well, the numbers on the bezel anyway are yellow. This here I've done a review on. This is the SBDC 109 Japanese domestic model. And this watch they often called... or they're calling it Captain Willard because it's basically, besides the movement, it really does look like the 6105, I think it's called 6105 or 6109, I forget. The one that was in Apocalypse Now on Martin Sheen's wrist as he played the character Captain Willard. and it has the little bump out there. This is a really, really good watch. It has an upgraded movement. It's same as the new Sumos. I think it's 70 hour battery life. Getting pretty good accuracy out of this so far. My gripe about this one is the bracelet. So one, this is not a cheap watch. It's in the realm of $1,200-$1,300 US. So not cheap, not luxury pricing, as most people in the watch community would think of luxury pricing, but still not cheap. Not everyone can afford this watch. I mean, it's still, you're paying good money for this. They do have a sapphire crystal, really like that. Thank God, Seiko. Like, you know what? If micro brands can do it for $500, then massive companies can do it for much cheaper. And Seiko is a vertically integrated company. What I mean by that, if you don't know what that term means, is that they make almost everything that they put in a watch. I think they make their own steel, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, they're a lot like Rolex. Like Rolex makes their own steel. These people make their own hairsprings. I'm not sure whether Rolex does or not. And I think they make hairsprings for other companies. So I really, really like this watch. I just ordered an Uncle Seiko rubber waffle strap for it to make it look like the original. We'll see how long that stays on. I don't know. But the bracelet, this bracelet, I've looked at it, and one, it just doesn't, like right out of the get-go, there's a lot of clanging around. Like right off, like this is almost brand new. I've worn this a handful of times. And you can even see here, like watch when I look at the gap. Opening and closing, opening and closing. They absolutely should have had screwed in links here. No excuse. They have pin and collar. Pin and collar are fairly secure, but it leaves a lot of gap. So, like I said, if micro brands can put things like, sapphire crystals and screw in links, major manufacturers like Seiko. I mean, Seiko's huge. They can afford to do that, no problem. They need to get on their bracelet game in big time. And because I'll probably be replacing this bracelet itself, even with the rubber strap, I'll probably go ahead and once Strapcode releases some straps for this one, I'll probably get one that has a quick adjustment on it as well. I do like the fact that they have 4 micro adjustments. They're not on the fly, but I think you should have at least 4. I think 4 to 5 are good. 3 is minimal. Absolute minimal, and often doesn't work out for me. So 5's good. Sorry, 4 is good. 5 would be even better. But if you look here, if you look at another watch, I think, what is it called? It was released around the same time as this watch, the Seiko something 151. Is it the SPB 151? I think maybe. If you look at this bracelet, it's the same bracelet. Okay, but if you look at the lugs on that 151, the lugs are different than this. And you can see how this has a sharp downturn on the end lugs. Well, it doesn't really match this. This doesn't have a sharp downturn. It's a very gradual curve. This should be a very gradual curve right there, not a downturn. It was absolutely, you can tell absolutely it was designed for that 151, and they stuck it on here. Shame on you, Seiko. Really disappointing for a watch at this price point. Like if this was like a $400 watch, I'd be like, well, they have to save costs somewhere. They can't go and design a bracelet just for one watch. But when you're charging that money, you absolutely should have a correct fitting bracelet for it. So just to point that out to people that might be in the market. Another watch here is my Grand Seiko. You've probably seen a review. If you haven't, I have a review on this watch. This is the 221. And this watch I really, 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 really like. I saw a dealer in about an hour away from me had got Grand Seiko about 2 years ago. And I remember I wanted to look at the snowflake, and I asked them, can I see that snowflake? And they said, oh, do you want to see this one? I said, nope, just that other one there, just the snowflake. But they were kind of, they thought, I think they thought I wanted to see this one. They assumed I wanted to see this one. And I really hadn't seen it all, didn't know really anything about it. But you can watch my full review. It's a beautiful watch. The accuracy could be better. And you say, wow, Grand Seiko, the accuracy could be better. Yeah, I forget, I don't have my computer beside me with notes or anything like that, but I think they say static. If the watch is not in motion, I think they say you get like +2, -3 or something like that, or -5, +2, -5, which is great. I'm going to see how this does long term because it seemed to be getting, just on, quickly looking, I think maybe around 8-9 seconds. Was it slow or fast? I can't even recall. I'm going to do a long-term review on this watch, and I'll let people know. But what this watch does have is a perfect dial and indices. It has Zaratsu polishing, full Zaratsu polishing on the indices and the hands. These hands are like little razors. Watch my full review on this. This is a dynamite watch, and I turn my watches over almost daily. The longest I typically wear a watch is like 2-3 days in a row. And then sometimes, you get home, you change your watch. You're like, oh, you know what? I haven't given this watch a little love lately. I'm going to throw that on, just sitting around the house sometimes. Next watch, I'm going to jump over one, and I'm going to show you my Panerai 372. This to me is the most classic Panerai out there. Some would argue and say, well, the one without that huge crown guard with a very clean dial like this would probably be more sort of historically, I don't know, if not important, but accurate, I guess. I don't know. I think for me, though, for Panerai, I think that a lot of people that know Panerai, and there are a lot, but there's a ton of people that have never heard of Panerai before, which I kind of like. They sort of associate that huge crown guard with Panerai because really only Panerai has it. I think Citizen came out with a watch. I forget what it's called. It's an automatic. It's something to do with racing anyway. I forget what it's called. But I think they have a similar crown guard, but it was, it's modeled after this, you can tell. But this one I absolutely adore. It's huge. Watch that video. I'm not gonna take it off and put it on my wrist right now because it's just a state of the watch collection. But it's a big watch. It's 47 millimeters across, which you don't really get that much bigger than that ever in the world, except with like old, like World War II, aviation watches maybe. But this one has the sapphire glass, and someone popped in to my review and left a comment saying, "Oh, that should be a plastic plexiglass crystal. If it's a 372, you must have had it, or whoever had it before you must have changed it out." Well, I bought this watch brand new, and I posted. I forget what year they changed it in. You can look at my comment in that video. But they went from the R version to the S version, and the S version does in fact have sapphire glass. It's not as true to the original because the originals had plexiglass, and some people absolutely love plexiglass. I'm one of those people, but I'm buying a brand new watch. I don't know. I'm really torn because I love plexi and I love sapphire. I don't mind hardlux from Seiko, their proprietary sort of formula, but I hate when I see watches with just regular crystal, mineral glass crystal, because it just scratches so easily. Whereas sapphire doesn't scratch, but it certainly does crack if you hit it hard enough. Whereas Heslite or acrylic or plexi or plastic, whatever we're going to call it, it's all the same stuff. It scratches way more easily than probably anything else. Probably even easier than mineral glass, maybe. But the benefit is you can buff it out, and it has such a warm look to it, whereas this looks more sterile and clear. The plexi does look. I think the plexi on this particular watch does actually look a little bit better, but they did raise it up to make it look like plexi, so it's not flat. You see some of the other models, the 44 millimeters models, such as the 914 and the 915, which I actually really like. They have also a sapphire glass, but if you look at them like this, it's flat right across the top, and I don't like that look. This, I think, looks much more classic, and it has the 1950s case, that rounded case, and that's what really drew me to this. If they came out with this watch in a 44, but exactly like this, but just shrunk down to a 44, I probably would have gone for that because it probably would have looked a little bit better on my wrists. or on my wrist, I should say. This one here, this is a really cool watch. And it's from Detroit Watch Company. I haven't done a full review on this, but I am going to. Why is that over there? Let me see. Okay, set that. Sorry, it was just misaligned. I just had to reset it there. So this is a Quartz watch from Detroit Detroit Mint, and it's called the Detroit Mint Mach. And I got it with this strap. If you've seen the movie Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and you took note of Brad Pitt, the character that he played was Cliff Booth, kind of a likable character, quirky guy, and he was wearing a Citizen bullhead in gold color, stainless steel, but in gold color, on a strap that looked remarkably like this. They did a fantastic job capturing this. And if you know anything about those watches and you like those watches, you've probably done some research on them. They're hard to find working. And two, even when you find them working, when something goes wrong, they don't make the parts for them. When, like, someone else did a video on this, and the owner of the company, I think he bought 4 and managed out of the 4 watches to get all the parts together to have a working watch. And on the prototype, I think the dial was slightly different, but in the prototype, he actually had, I think it was it a Miyota automatic movement? I forget if it was Miyota or it was an automatic movement anyway, or maybe it was Seagull. Probably Seagull, because they already have their automatic, or maybe it was manual. I don't know. You know what? Now I'm rambling. But it had a manual movement in it. Whether it was automatic or manual winding, it was mechanical. Whereas this is a Quartz. And honestly, I would have preferred it. I think I would have preferred it if it was a mechanical watch, but there's a lot of associated problems with mechanical watches, particularly with chronographs. You have to have a really good one because if they need to be serviced, then it's going to cost a lot of money to get them serviced. This one does have the movement inside is Quartz, but it's Citizen. So you're getting a really, really high quality movement in a watch. And this, it looks almost exactly, I shouldn't say almost exactly, it's less rounded, but it has the overall shape of the Citizen bullhead. And if you like that movie and you like getting movie watches, Hamilton does a lot of movie watches. That's another one I don't have anymore. The Hamilton, the Interstellar, not the Murph, the other one. Great watch, but again, wasn't getting as much wrist time, so I got rid of that one. But this one here, great everyday watch. You can grab and go, feels great on the wrist, looks great, and has some sort of movie significance. I know it's not a Citizen, but it is definitely a homage to the Citizen. What else do we have? We have 3 watches left here. And if you've seen other reviews, you'd say, starting with this one, you'd say, well, this is a long-term watch. You've had that. I've seen a video. You've done some more modding to it. Not true. I got rid of that one. I had 2 Vostoks. I got rid of both of them. They were both the 090 series. One had a black face. Both were scuba dudes. And you see that scuba dude in the back, but both had gold, the 090 case. One was black, one was blue. I modded both of them. And then I got rid of them. And then I started regretting it. Like, the old story. You get rid of it and you're like, oh, geez, you know what? Even if I only wore it, once in a while, it wasn't an expensive watch. This one, I thought it was going to come polished because it didn't have the M at the end, which signifies matte. And then it came in and it was the matte. But, got a hair there. But you know what? I like it. You can't get prints on this damn thing. It's rugged. I've gone through a couple of straps. I put it on a leather strap. I put it on the strap from this one over here. And then I end up going to Straps Co., not Strap Code, but Straps Co. And I got 3 straps. I got this one in full black, and I got this one in red camo because I got one free and I couldn't decide what else to get. So I just said, screw it, I'll get a red camo as well. And I really like it. These watches are fun. If you don't know about Vostok Amphibious, definitely do some research. They have a lot of cool design features in them that I think all divers should have. The case back being the #1 feature. Go see those videos that I have on Vostok watches, and you'll get to see that. I put, for these ones, I got a new bezel and new bezel inserts for each one. So I'll kind of go through them. So this bezel insert, I don't know if it's going to pick it up here. Maybe there. But it's blue on the bottom and black on the top. And it's kind of got the I don't know if it's blue or teal, depending on the light you have it in. It kind of looks teal and then it looks blue. So this is a quirky watch, and it's kind of meant to be. The other thing that I have coming for these, I ordered 2 of them from Marinome, are the case backs with the Bill Murray case back. And if you think, why the hell you put a case back with Bill Murray's picture on it? He was in a movie and he wore a Vostok. He was a Russian diver and he wore a Vostok. So I haven't seen the movie, but Bill Murray's a character, as everyone knows. So why not? It's quirky. These are quirky watches. Bill's a quirky guy, funny guy. So I thought, you know what? Put him on there. So I'm probably going to put it on that one and this one. This one is a new series. So this one is the series, the set, what is it? The 710 series, I believe. And it has a nice gap there for straps, because the one thing that I do notice with some Vostok watches, including both of those, is it is difficult to get straps in there. It's tight, whereas this has a nice big gap there, so you can put whatever straps you want. And this has the black Scuba Dude dial. I actually considered changing it, but when I was looking for the bezel insert for this one, I thought, you know what, I'm going to go for a matte dial that has polished, raised numerals, and it's ceramic. And I put it on. This one has a slightly different bezel than this one. The one to the left has a more aggressive bezel, and this one has more of the coin edge bezel, which I really like. I think this one looks really good. The rubber on this thing, this came with this rubber. The rubber's incredibly thick all the way through, whereas if you see this one, it looks thick up here, but it's like right up there. Right where it connects it is, but then it really tapers down. It isn't nearly as thick as the one that came with this Vostok watch. So I was a little tiny bit disappointed in those ones. I mean, if I hadn't had this one and seen how thick it was, I wouldn't be disappointed. But next to it, I'm like, wow, this thing is a brute. And if anyone knows anything about these watches, they are brutes. I'm getting really, really good accuracy from these watches. Like ridiculously good accuracy. I'm talking like between like 2 and 5 seconds, depending on which watch per day. And I've worn these for like 3 days in a row. And I'm like, yeah, no, it's still that accurate. I just keep lucking out with them because they say their stated accuracy is ridiculous. I think it's something like, I don't know, it's like 30 seconds to 60 seconds a day or something stupid. And everyone I talk to gets much better accuracy, and I certainly have. This one here, I don't know if I'm keeping this one or not. I wanted the gold dial just to check it out, and maybe it's because I had that date just with the gold dial. I'm like, fell in love with the gold dials, or they call them silver dials. And I put it on a leather strap because everyone knows that the metal bracelets that come with Vostok are the worst in the industry. And I put it on a leather strap, not this one, a 2-piece leather strap from Watch Gecko. And it's actually same one as this one, except in 22 millimeter. And it looks good, but I'm like, oh, it's a dive watch on a fancy strap. So I bought the strap, and this strap wasn't cheap at all. And I kind of regret getting the strap, because what I bought the strap for was as a replacement for that one there, the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood watch.